Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me today in what is very excitedly my first video in a new series which I'm doing, which is all about the best golden visa programs that are out there in the world. Now, what I'm going to try to do is break this down into biteable sizes. So I'm going to concentrate on what is the best golden visa programs for certain types of situations to help maybe navigate where you need to go. Now, for people that don't know, a golden visa is essentially a way of getting residency or citizenship by investing a certain amount of money into a particular country. Now, not all countries offer golden visa programs, but a lot of countries do. Okay, so in exchange for investing this money, you are granted residency or citizenship. Now, if you don't know the difference between the two, residency normally gives you the right to live or work and retire in that particular country. Citizenship is almost taking it one step further, where you're issued with a passport for that country. So you have all the rights as if you were actually born into that country in the first place. Now, some countries start off as residency programs and then they change into citizenship programs once you've been there a certain amount of time. Other places you can invest straight away and get citizenship. It just varies depending on the country. But what I'm going to talk about today is which country is the best for people who are looking for a second passport. So you've already got a passport in the country you're living at the moment, but you want a second passport to give you that added flexibility and the plan B option, essentially, that are out there by having two passports. So the country at the moment that I would recommend is incredibly good for second passports, and particularly for US citizens, which I'll come on to, is Panama. Okay, so Panama is a real interesting one, and it's got some really good, unique features about it that makes it a really strong option for people looking for second passports. So let's start off with the entry amount if you wanted to invest and get a Panama golden visa. As it stands at the moment, the entry amount is 300,000 US dollars, and that can be invested into property in Panama. So that's the amount you need to invest. Now, it is important to note that that amount is going up to 500,000 as of September, October this year. So if it is something you're interested in and you like that lower entry point, then you need to be looking to do it sooner rather than later. But the first good point about Panama is the fact that that 300,000 can be invested into property. Now, as everyone knows, property is a really good investment. Property over a period of time nearly always will go up in value. Particularly in Panama, there's some really good property investments there. And furthermore, you can rent that property out and actually get a passive income coming in for that property. So just as a general investment, property is a fantastic option anyway. So with regards to Panama, what would happen is you would buy your property for 300,000. A really good point about Panama is that they will issue you your visa, so your residency permit, your golden visa, normally within about 30 days, which is incredibly quick. A lot of other programs out there at the moment, they can actually take quite literally years to get a residency permit. Panama is incredibly quick. And for that one investment amount, you can include your family on there, so your dependent parents, your spouse, and your dependent children for that one investment amount, which is exceptionally good. So you're investing one lot of 300,000 and you can have your whole family on there. Now, with Panama, what they do is once you've got that residency permit, it's permanent. It's not issued for a certain amount of time and then you have to keep renewing it. You will get a permanent residency in Panama, which immediately gives you a really strong plan B option. So you've got your citizenship in whatever country you're from, but if suddenly you needed to up and leave very quickly, you needed an alternative, then you would have your residency in Panama. And in the meantime, you've got a really good investment, which is going up in value and you're getting a regular income from. So it's really, really good. Now, where Panama becomes particularly interesting is that to keep that residency permit, you only need to visit once every 2 years. So you don't need to be going to Panama all the time. Once every 2 years, you do one visit to Panama and you can continue to be a resident of that country. So it's very minimal in terms of what you need to do to keep that residency up. So you just take that holiday once every 2 years. But where I think it is exceptional for people looking for a second passport is that after 5 years of holding this residency, so having this investment there, you can apply for a Panamanian passport after only 5 years. Normally these programs, it's 10 years or you can't get a second passport at all. But with Panama, it's only after 5 years. And why that is particularly good is during that 5 years, you don't need to become tax resident of Panama. Now, if you would just go in there once every 2 years, which is the minimum requirement to keep the residency, then arguably you'd apply at the end of the 5 years and they might well turn you down for the passport because you've not shown enough commitment to the country. So it's a bit of a grey area in how they assess it, but you need to show that you've got ties to the country. So you need to visit more often than that, but you certainly don't need to be tax resident. So after 5 years, you and your family could apply for the Panamanian passport, and then you've got a second passport. Now, having two passports does have some significant, and you are allowed to hold two passports, by the way. So if you're, for example, a US citizen, you can have your US passport and you can also have your Panamanian passport. Now, why people might want the Panamanian passport is it will give you a lot more flexibility, particularly for US citizens, because with regards to Panama, unlike America, whereas in certain countries such as Russia and other countries that might scrutinise a US passport a lot more, particularly with the political situation in the world as it stands at the moment, with regards to Panama, you have a lot more access to countries than coming from the US. So from that point of view, it gives you extra added flexibility. It gives you the right to visa-free travel in the Schengen zone in Europe with a Panamanian passport. You get visa-free travel to the UK, visa-free travel to Hong Kong. Now, some of this you may get with your existing passport, but with the way that, as I say, the world is, and particularly in the US, it may become more difficult to travel, whilst having this Panamanian passport is really good. And what it's essentially doing is guarantee you a permanent home outside the US or outside of whatever country you're from, whilst also having a very strong investment. Now, you don't need to become tax resident of Panama, but if you do decide to become tax resident and spend more than 6 months a year in Panama, there are some really good tax benefits with Panama as well. So Panama don't tax foreign sourced income. So you won't pay tax on any foreign sourced income, whether that's dividends as well or capital gains. You won't have to pay tax on it. Now, with a US, if you are a US citizen, you have to report to the IRS, as you would know. But there are still schemes that you can use, like the foreign earned income scheme that you can sign up to, and that will allow you to earn up to 130 or a little bit over 132,000 US dollars without having to pay tax on it by being tax resident in Panama. Now, depending on your situation, I won't go into the tax details, but Panama does have quite significant tax benefits to anybody looking to actually become tax resident. But as I mentioned, you don't need to. To be resident, all you need to do is go there once per year. Once per 2 years, and that's all you would have to do to keep your residency there. But if you wanted to become tax resident, you could. And as I say, you can apply for your passport after only 5 years. You don't need to be tax resident to do that. You just need to show some ties to the country. You would need to take a language test and a cultural test if you do that. But obviously, that's understandable in order to get a passport and show them ties, which is really good. The other positive thing about Panama as well is it does trade in the US dollar, so there's no exchange rate risk particularly for US people. It's a strong economy. When you're underpinned by the US dollar, it does make you a lot stronger as an economy. There's a very good banking system there, very private banking system for people who are maybe looking to shield money as well. So there are benefits to Panama, not just what I'm talking about as well. But really, just to sort of summarize where this looks really good, a second passport within 5 years with no commitment to having to become tax resident in over that period of time, including all your family onto that one investment of at the moment 300,000, which can be into property, which in itself is a really good investment to do. You can rent that property, you can get income from that property as well, and it's a permanent residency. So whether you get that passport or not, you can just keep that residency. But as I say, after 5 years, you can have an extra passport for you and your family, which is a really, really strong plan B option. So at the moment, people looking for a second passport, you don't need to look much farther than Panama. There are some other really good second passport options out there. Portugal is one of them, which I'll talk about later in this series. But as I say, today's really is what is a great option of a second passport. So I'll be doing about 5 or 6 of these videos. I'm going to concentrate on various areas. My next video is going to be which is the best for people looking for tax efficiency, which golden visa would be best to get, and I'll go through the reasons why. Then I'll look at what's the best, cheapest entry point for people looking to invest into Europe as well. I'll look at what's the safest option. options, which options out there for golden visas is the safest in terms of getting accepted, which is the best all-rounder, and which is going to be the best to get a European passport. So I'm going to cover that in over the next sort of 5 to 6 programs that I do. So do subscribe to my channel. Put any comments in the YouTube below. I'm happy to answer any queries you have. I'll put a link in as well to my diary. So if you want to book yourself directly into my diary and chat about your situation, it's all completely free. I'm happy to do that as well. I'll put my email and my contact details in there. So I'm happy to chat through your situation. But as I say, the point of this program is really to make everything as simple as possible for people that are looking for a golden visa, residency or citizenship in another country. So hopefully you found that useful. Please do tune in to the rest of the series that I'm going to bring out, and I look forward to seeing you in our next program.